What's up, card family? And today we have a special episode. I have a special guest, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite Kirby Puckett cards. This is Anthony. And Anthony, tell us what your channel name is and a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, I got Bader's Hobby Life. I started 2 months ago, and I started it because I'm a closet collector, right? So I got no friends who really care about the cardboard. I've always loved it, loved baseball. And so my style of collecting is a huge Twins fan, always have been, and that's extended into the history of the Twins, being a Washington Senators fan. But I just love baseball, so I'm broader than that. And then I also do set collecting. So I started the channel really just to share the stuff that I like with the world, because for, I don't know, 4 years or so, around COVID and on, I'd watch other people's shows. And, I probably watched 1,000 episodes without ever commenting or subscribing or liking or anything. It's just on the peripheral, just watching it. But then I started thinking about how much I valued other people doing that and being able to consume that information while I'm doing this hobby. And I go, this is kind of a lone thing. And then your community of collectors, you would hear them talk about how great it was doing the YouTube, because then they started connecting with other people. And that's where I'm like, man, I'm really disconnected in this hobby. I go and do my thing and then come back up. So the lurker. So the channel is my attempt to break away from my comfortability of just doing that. So that's it, I guess.
Well, I really have been enjoying your channel. So I'm glad you started making videos for sure. You said you've always been a Twins fan, but you live out in Washington State. So is there any story as to how you became a Twins fan? Was it in your family, or how did it happen?
Well, I remember that. I think it was 1987, 88. It would have been the winter of 87. Yeah, the Twins had won the World Series. But I was born in Wisconsin, and I was born an hour and a half from the Twin Cities. So it's still kind of, so that was in my history, but I left when I was 4, and I grew up in Alaska. And up in Alaska, there's no team. Everybody's from everywhere, so you can like whoever you want. And in 87, 88, I remember going to a grocery store, and there was a pack of 1988 Don Russ, one of those rack packs. And I don't know, I wasn't a baseball fan, but my mom got me up this pack, and we went home. And I didn't know what was what. And I think my sister asked, who's good? And she goes, well, St. Louis is good, and the Twins are good, because they had just won the World Series. And I was born a Twin, not really. Like I had a twin, but like halfway through the whole thing, the other one it didn't develop. And so even at that young age, that story made me think like I'm a twin. And what it would have been like to have a brother. Anyway, so that name Twin kind of stuck. And then I was from Wisconsin, next to Minnesota. So that's weird, but that's how the Twins became my team.
That's cool.
And then where it really picked up is a year later in 89, I went down to Wisconsin and got to visit my dad, who I didn't really know. And a friend of the family took me to a Twins game, and it was absolutely magical. Now, by then I was collecting baseball cards and stuff, and Twins were my team, so I knew who the whole team was and all that stuff. But that was really like the pinnacle of really just absolute fabulous memories of following the Twins as a kid.
So were you a Kirby Puckett collector since the beginning, or?
Probably not, but as long as I can remember. I don't remember being like, but I remember quickly finding out Puckett's the guy.
Yeah,
Puckett is the guy, right? And always smiling. And I remember starting to learn about stats, and I remember little weird things. Like I remember the first time I actually figured out what a save was. I thought a save in baseball was like a hockey save. Like, yeah. So I'd see a pitcher like snap off a ball, and like, oh, he got a save, and I'm like, that's not what a save is. I had no idea. But so you have these memories, and you start looking, and you go, wow, Kirby Puckett's really good. You start looking at him compared to other people, and it was very much about numbers and pictures. And growing, you're in Minnesota, you know how this is, but in the winter, you're stuck. You're stuck inside. And so looking at baseball digests and playing with your baseball cards, like you could spend a ton of time doing that for sure. For sure. But yeah, Kirby, there was never another person that was somewhere around Kirby. It only got bigger and bigger.
So I was 7 years old in 1991, going on 8. And that's when I first started collecting baseball cards. And that whole season, you don't know, like you said, you don't know about stats when you're a little kid. You don't quite understand. You just know what you see. And that whole season, I think I was a Dan Gladden fan. Like, he was my favorite player. And I liked, Shane Mack and Kent Herbeck and some of the other players. But it was really Game 6 of the 91 World Series that made Kirby Puckett my favorite player.
Kirby Puckett did.
So the funny thing is I met Dan Gladden once, and I told him that. I said, I was 7 going on 8 in the 91 year, and you were my favorite player all the way up until Game 6 of the World Series. And he's like, well, he didn't understand. He's like, why did I? And I said, because then Kirby Puckett was my favorite player after that. And he said, what about Game 7? Kirby didn't do anything in Game 7.
Yeah.
So, collecting cards for a long time, and I don't know what happened to all of them. I think a lot of them got thrown away or wrecked or whatever. And I had some. I had like a couple binders, but I didn't really get back into collecting again until 2017. And that's when I started collecting with my son, Blake.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it just sort of organically, accumulated like 300 Kirby Puckett cards.
Yep.
Or whatever amount it was. And I was just like, you know what, I think I want to make this a thing, and I want to have a really good Kirby Puckett collection. And so that's how I became a super collector, if you will. So
was there there was the moment where you're like, I'm just going to try to get every card? Was there a certain moment?
Well, actually, a bunch of my friends that I'd met on YouTube, 3 or 4 of us had like a chat together, and we all sort of realized that we all had close to the same amount of our favorite players.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of thought, well, let's see who can get to 1,000 first. It was Eloy the Goat Flores. He had Barry Sanders, and my friend Big D for Life, he had Emmitt Smith, and our friend whose Bronx Bombers cards was a Derek Jeter collector. And I think there's a couple other guys involved, and it's just that kind of made a springboard. And then I created a Facebook group called Super Collectors Unite, and that's a really huge deal. So if you're on Facebook at all, you should check it out. It's really a great group. It's the only reason why I even go on Facebook these days, because it's all, crazy stuff. But that group is so great, and it's so awesome to, like, regularly, like once a week, somebody sends me a picture of a Kirby Puckett card and asks if I have it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if I don't have it, they're going to send it to me for free,
Right.
So that's kind of the great part of this whole community. But yeah, so we should probably get into this before we go too long.
Oh yeah.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to show, each of us is going to show 2, give or take, cards from
our time. Yeah.
each of Kirby's playing days, from 84 all the way through 96. And he does have a card in 1983, a minor league card. I've been talking a lot, but I'll quick tell my story because I promised Anthony I would.
And I'm interested in this one.
So I was going to the 2021 National, and one of the main cards on my radar was the 1983 Visalia Oaks Frisch card, and I'd seen it a million times on eBay and on photos, but I'd never seen one in person.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew it was slightly different in size. The photo quality is not very good. I also knew that fakes existed. So I reached out to somebody in a Kirby Puckett group and asked, is there a way to tell if this is fake or real? And he said, why don't you just go to Larry Frisch's website and just buy it there? And I'm like, what? Yeah, they still sell them on there. So Larry Frisch Sr.'s dead, but his son runs the company still. So I went on the website, and lo and behold, they had an uncut sheet of 1983 Visalia Oaks team set.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted $175. And I was like, that's a really good price for that. And I was going to buy it, but then I got to thinking, is like, well, what? I don't really want to uncut sheets, that badly. Like, I'd rather just have the card, because uncut sheets are really cool, but what do you do with it, So I reached out directly to them, and I said, do you have any of these? Do you have any of these cut? Oh yeah. Let me list them on the website. I went back on the website, and the $175 sheet was now $325,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had the uncut set for $300. And it just made me think, like, if they have all these uncut sheets and these sets, complete sets, like, are they still making them? And if they're using the same cardstock and the same printing press, like, a guy at PSA, there's no way he would know if it was made in 2017 or if it was made in 1983. So that kind of made me think that this is just, I still want to get one, but I just don't want to pay $300+ for one, because I know they're not rare, and so that's my story, and that's why I'm not as big a fan of that card as maybe more Kirby Puckett collectors are.
I get that. I immediately would have a little question marks, like, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, like, maybe because Frank Frisch was a super collector of the superest level. That guy it sounds like he had like his own card museum. He was a massive cataloger of cards. So it could have been that he made a bunch of cards, and who knows? Yeah, he could have probably had still 100 sheets or whatever, or had printed them off, still had a giant box of them, but still kept all of those things like catalog. So I don't know if it necessarily means that, like, they're still printing them, especially if you're, as times change, like some of the materials change a little bit. You could be spot on. You could be exactly right. But it was interesting that you said that it was $175 for the sheet. And he goes, give me a second. I could literally see them, like, they cut it, but now the price has doubled because they
found out somebody's interested in it.
Well, it's either that, or but if let's say I had two sheets, and I go, well, crap, now I'm gonna have to take one. I'm gonna have to cut. Now I only have one sheet left, right?
Yeah.
Instead of two, and so I'm gonna just mark up the value. So I don't disagree with you at all, but I'm like, there's a possibility. But yeah, the idea that something's still being printed, and you're right, the card, if you look at it, it's not like it's a real high quality card where you're like, this is hard to make. I mean, I have some fake 84 updates where if I just look at them, it's the back. I flip over the back so I can look at the color, and I can tell a difference, but it's subtle. And if I didn't have the comparison card, I'm like, I would not be able to pick that out. So that definitely can make you uncomfortable on some of this early 80s.
Yeah, 100%. I still have the reprinted 84, and I had it for a while. I got it as a gift, and I thought it was legit until I finally took it out of the top loader and, like, held it in my hand. I'm like, I don't know if this is right. And then so finally I compared it to another 84 Fleer. Yeah. And you're right. Like, looking at visually, it looks okay on the front, but then if you flip it over, it's a little bit,
the blue's a little weird.
It's a little bit less, kind of a little bit more blurry, or, the letters aren't quite as clear. Yeah. But yeah,
it's pretty close. So yeah, so if somebody just like cleaned up that bluish line, I wouldn't be able to tell at all. So with those, I have four of his 84 Fleer update rookies, and two of the fake ones. And I wouldn't be able to tell a difference unless they're next to each other. Yeah.
Oh, I think you can tell a difference if you have one in your hand, or you can, but just visually, if you're just not handling the card, you're just looking at in a top loader or a one touch or something, you can't really. It's really
Totally.
tough.
Yeah, and I do have this weird thing. So I bought the Fleer update the reprints because the place I was before, I did my display is in my hallway upstairs where there's no sunlight at all that gets to it. And there's just a couple bulbs, so they're mostly in the dark. It's a safe place. But where I lived before, you got sunlight in there, and I go, I want to see this card every day, but I don't want the sun to ruin it. So I was like, I'll get the reprint because I can't even tell the difference, right? And that's why I bought it. But anyway, yeah, it makes it kind of weird. I'm like, it looks the same. What is it that it has to be actually, it has to be made in 84. It has to be made by Fleer, and then it's value. And as soon as somebody goes, I'll make it look, it's almost exactly the same. We go, no, worthless. It's garbage. It's a weird connection thing. We want this idea that we're connected to this real thing. And I find that interesting because it's true, but it's like, there's part of me that goes like, whoa, why is that such a big deal? Because we all do it. It's like if aliens were watching us and they're like, it's the same. Why do you care so much? Why is this one worth $1 million and this is worth like 10 cents?
Yeah.
But you're talking about that Oaks card, and I don't think we're going to be going over 83, but here's that for anybody who doesn't know what the Visalia Oaks card looks like. That is it. It's really plain Jane card there. Boy, I got that glare, man. All right, that's a little better.
And that one's not the same size as a standard Topps card or anything like that.
Yeah, they're slight.
Aren't they like a tad taller and a tad narrower? Something like that?
No. It's narrower.
Okay.
That's just maybe a tad shorter and a little bit narrower. Yeah. Yeah, but I wanted this. This was I got this for when I turned 40. I actually literally kind of bought it for myself. My wife had asked me, what do I want for my birthday? And I go, can I just go buy this for myself and call it good? So that's, yeah.
All right. Well, so 84, we already talked about it. So
thank you for busting that out. Hey, everybody. Dustin's like, hey, everybody's seen this. I don't want to bust it out. I'm like, come on, man. You got to. It's like the card. And he's like, fine.
So I don't collect graded quite the same way that you do.
Mm-hmm.
But of course I have graded cards in my collection. So this is a PSA 8. It's really nice shape. It's just a tad left to right off center.
Well, more importantly, what's the story to that particular card though? Like that must have been a big card for you. When you picked it up.
Yeah, I actually sold a Carl Yastrzemski rookie card in order to buy this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure most collectors would rather have the Carl Yastrzemski rookie card, but I would rather have this.
They're wrong.
Yeah, right.
I bet you, in terms of populations, there might be more. I bet you there's going to be more Carl Yastrzemski rookies than there is that card. There's probably 10,000 or so Yastrzemski rookies. So in that sense, where there's probably 6,000 or so of those. So it's not like it's way off. There's a cool factor to old, right? That
right.
You can't beat. But yeah. So I've got, like I said, I've got 4 of those. My nicest one is a 9, and really when you look at it, a 7, 8, 9, they all bleed together. You really can't tell much of a difference. So I've got a 9. I've got a BGS. I've got another 7.5 by SGC. But this is actually the most important card in my entire collection. Is this 8.5? And if I could only keep one card, it's this card. It's not the best. The 9 is nicer than this one. But my mom got this for me in 6th grade, and so that's a huge memory for me. And it was kind of important. I tested pretty well in school, but I never did well. I was just like never really cared. And if I liked it, I did well, and if I didn't, I'm just like bare minimum to get by. And she's so frustrated. And she goes, Anthony, if you get on a roll the whole year, I'll get you that card. So it's the first time in school that I'm like, all right. And I tried. And so I got on a roll and everything, and I got that card. And that was huge. We didn't have We didn't have a lot of money. I think it was $180. Fairbanks, Alaska. I don't know how many of those were in that city, at that time, but it wasn't many of them. There's
Not
probably
many, right?
2 or 3 maybe. I don't know. But she went down, and as soon as we made that deal, she went and bought it. And I knew that she had it, and it was just sitting there. I never saw it until, the deal was done. So that's the number one card in my collection.
That's awesome.
Yeah, had that since I was 12 years old.
Okay. Do you have any other 84 Kirby's?
Oh yes. We had talked about this. I didn't even know that this was existed, and I've seen one other time, and it's not exactly a card. It's one of those photo, what do they call it? Press photos. So have you seen that before?
I don't think I have.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
If you look close, I'm on backwards, so you can't see this, Minnesota Twins. But right here, it's got the print mark of 84. So, check this out. I went to Goodwill 5 months ago, and I saw this woman heckling a man buying his 12th pair of readers. And I thought that was really funny, and I never had one. And I put a pair on, and I went, and I was like, holy crap, I can see. So now I got a pair of readers. Yeah, so 84, it's like, and then there's 4 numbers after it. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. And I had only seen one other time, so I snatched that one up.
I love stuff like that. I love like team issued photos and stuff like that. I don't know, that stuff. I always get excited when I see that stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of fun having just with you, you've introduced me to. Now we haven't had a lot of interaction, but like that 86 Fleer Sluggers card saying he was on the bottom of box. You said, I don't think he's got one on there. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I think he's confused. And then part of me was thinking he wasn't a slugger in 85. It would have been made in 85 for 86. He had 4 home runs. He wouldn't be on a Sluggers set. That doesn't make any sense. And then I'm like, holy crap, he's right. He's totally right. That's that card. And then that postcard that you had is a 85. Well, it's Park Press postcards also with the whole team. And I'm like, dude, I didn't know that existed either. Because I bought that set, but it wasn't in there.
Yeah, we'll get to that 86 card a little bit later here.
Okay.
So I'll show you my 85. So I have his Topps, Donruss, Fleer, all in PSA 9s, Topps stickers in PSA 9s, Topps Tiffany PSA 8. I don't think I have the Leaf or the O-Pee-Chee graded, but I have several copies of. But anyways, so my favorite one is not those ones. It's the 7-Eleven. I just think it's a cool looking card. I like the picture. Yep. And as a bonus, this was a gift from a good friend of mine.
That makes it even more special. Yep.
Yes, it makes it even more special.
Yep. That's fantastic. Well, we're sitting here doing the whole thing, and this is one of the ones where I'm like, it was a tie between 3 cards, and it was the same boat. That's one of them. That's an awesome card. So it's same thing. I think I only discovered those about maybe 10 years ago. I really didn't dive the whole. I'm not a big internet searcher kind of person. It's more of what I see and what I read, and so I didn't know about those. Now I think I have 6 of them.
Yeah, and I have the whole set, and that's always the thing that I struggle with is when I get a team set of a team issued or a food issue or something. It's is it okay to break these up, or do I have to keep them all together, or what?
I can tell you the answer. The correct answer is you buy 2.
Yeah, right.
And then you buy the other one. Yeah, somebody has to do it, man. Somebody has to break them up for you to be able to have that single.
So my second 85 is actually kind of connected, I believe, to that 7-Eleven, and it's this official scorecard from 1985.
Oh, that's cool. Look at that.
So if you look, I'm pretty sure it's the same at bat, and it's just slightly after he threw his bat. It just looks like the same uniform. Everything looks like it's right in tandem there. But this is just so cool. I can't remember. I think I saw this on eBay, and it was just super cheap.
Yeah.
You know, so you got the scorecard in here. It's not written on, but I just love some of the like Schmidt beer or Epson dot matrix printers,
Yeah.
and
Dude,
then the Marlboro Man's on the back.
yep.
So it's just a cool item and one of my favorites that I picked up.
It's starting to be kind of cool where I don't have anything like that with Puckett, but you know, with like Ted Williams, and I've got some older stuff where looking at some of the advertisements like the Marlboro Man, and some of these, like, you know, you'll have the you know, some bully kicking sand in the face of some kid, and you're like, hey, buy this stuff and get strong. It's like, you do not see anything like that now. It would have been just so interesting growing up into that stuff. Man, that thing's awesome. That is cool. I had a tear between the two for a favorite card. Now, if it's just about the card and not connected to anything else other than that, then I definitely pick this one. I think the funnest YouTube video that I ever did, where I was enjoyed, was Theo over at Clemente Collector. He did a video on finding a card, and he's like, tell us a story about a card that you really like to find. And I told how I found this. That's a better angle right there. And this is his 85 team issue. You call it a BRF. Yeah. I tend to call it a Park Press just because that's who had made it. And that card is, man, so hard. It's hard to find.
I still don't have one.
Yeah, it was a really hard to find. And I did the video, but I misspoke. I got my two stories confused. So I had gotten, I don't know if it was this one, but it was these two in a lot together. And I think I sent the other one off ungraded. I think it was like an 8 as well. And then the other one was the full set. It was a full set minus 1 or 2 cards, but the Puckett was in it, but they never listed it that way. That's the other one that I have of these, and that was it was like $29, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me! It was one of those like, and then the other one is this. My wife bought me this one, and it was a surprise for Christmas, and that was the Tiffany. But that's more about it being from her than it is necessarily about that card, because I never really loved the 85 tops.
Right.
No, when I was a kid, definitely the Donruss and the Fleer over the tops.
Yeah, and the Tiffany's are great some years, but then like that's one of the years where the border's kind of like yellowish and
Making yellow. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing you go, why would you rather have a Tiffany than the regular issue? And like, it has nothing to do with like the time period. It's simply like it was a created rarity. It's not necessarily that much more beautiful of a card. So when you have to pay way more for, it's more of the idea. This is rare. So, right. But yeah, I think it's 85 Fleer is the most underrated. I think it's a great card.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
All right. So for 86, I just said that Tiffany. We just basically said that Tiffany's aren't that great, but here's a Tiffany. So I love the 86 tops. Kirby, I just think it's a good looking card. And I got this one in a PSA 9. And I got to tell you, I don't know what the heck is wrong with it. I mean, I guess it is very, very slightly OC left to right, but it's a very small amount. But it's just a beautiful looking card, and you can't beat that.
You can't, man. That's a great card. That's a beautiful card, and and what's funny is that's the one that I picked too.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Mine is a 7, and yeah, it's I'm with you, man. And so 80. I was like, we had talked before, and we go, there's a couple years where, man, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to pick out a card. Now the nice thing about these is that year, the 86 is still a fairly rare card, comparatively speaking. 87, right. They pumped the numbers way up for the Tiffany's. So 85, 86, 90, and 91 are harder than the other 3 years, definitely. What's your other one?
Okay, so my other one is the one we were talking about earlier, and that's the Fleer Baseball's Best Sluggers.
Yep.
And part of the reason why I chose this is just the story, and then it's a connection that we have. because I made you aware of this card,
Yep.
and you're like, you found one right away.
I found two.
Yeah, you found two. So then he sends me a link to a collection, and honestly, I'm kind of kicking myself for not just buying that collection. Like, I should have just bought that collection, because I think there was like a star set in there that I didn't have. So I mean, I would have got 9 or 10 cards plus this one.
And there was some weird. There was some other weird.
And then there was like some oddball, like a magazine or a program or something was in there that I didn't have. So I should have. So he relisted it. So I reached out to the guy and I'm like, hey, is there any way you'd sell me just this one card? He's like, I don't want to take the listing down, but if it doesn't sell, I'll let you know. So he let me know. He relisted it, and I gave him an offer, and he accepted it right away. And I saw that he relisted that whole complete set, and collection. It was 375 plus cards, and he listed it for $80. And I bid 90 on it, and I got outbid late. It ended last night.
Oh, and it was $99, right? It was $99 for the whole thing originally.
Originally, yeah, and then he relisted for 79, and I threw a couple bids on there, thinking, maybe I should have just. Then I felt really dumb, because I'm like, well, in the end, I'm probably gonna end up paying more than 100.
No, we should have halvesied it. We should have gone halvesies, because there's a couple weird stuff that I was this close to, like, I'm just gonna buy this. And I was literally thinking, I'm gonna buy it. I'm just gonna send him the card, because I had gotten mine already. Yeah, I saw him relisted, and where that card was, it was just like whited out, or a piece of white. Something was, it was just whited out where that card was. Yeah.
Yeah. So once again, for this card, like he said, he's not in the normal set, but he's on the box bottom of the display box. And there's actually, there is 2 different panels. I can't remember who's all on the bottom of it. Like, I don't know, Harold Baines is on one of them, and there's like a team card on one of them. But there's 2 different variations, so that's something else for you to look for if you ever want to. I don't know how big you are into getting box bottoms, but
yeah, it's what the only thing that pulls me away from that is it's hard to store and it's hard to show.
Yeah,
and I don't want to go too crazy on, like, just if there's a Puckett image, I gotta have it. Yeah. So I'm not as crazy about those, but I am a very, very big fan of magazine card cutouts and box bottom card cutouts. So it's not necessarily need the whole panel, but just one of those, because I always think that those are really neat.
I do have a binder of oversized. Only thing that's in there is like oversized Kirby and Harmon Killebrew items.
Yep.
But yeah, as soon as I posted this in the Super Collectors Unite group, and there's a Puckett guy in there, and he posted a picture of, he had like 20 box bottoms uncut.
Of that?
Yeah, of this, yeah.
And it read like, it sounded like it was because the sets, it's not like the sets are what, 44 cards, I think. And so they come in a case. It's not like a normal box, like a wax box. It's bigger than that, and that's why I think there's 6 cards instead of your normal 4, right? So there's because that's card number 5, I believe, is on the back. And so, like, with the number of, I don't know how many cases there would be. I don't even know how many packs or sets there are in a case, but I think it makes it probably quite a bit harder than a normal Fleer wax bottom card. But yeah, I had never seen it, never heard of it. That was a pleasant surprise when you told me about that card. I went with the team issues. There we got his 86 team issue. When we were doing this, we were like, all right, you got to pull out 2 cards. That one was in the running, and I ended up going with this one over that one. But it was close. It was close.
Okay, so that's all you got for 86, right?
Yeah, 86 was a hard year to figure for me.
On to 87. This one is a little cheatish because it's an autographed card. But
no, that's not cheating, man.
I think and the autograph is clearly not, it's post 87, but I think I might have picked this card even if it wasn't signed, and that's the 87 Diamond Kings.
Yep.
With the great big bold signature on there, the big swooper.
My cat is scratching at the door. That's a great card. Hey, do you know what the 87 Donruss? You know, like the Donrusses, they'll have a factory set and the pack poles.
Yep.
Donruss, there's no difference for the DK for the Diamond King. Is it just
I don't think there's any difference on the Diamond Kings. On the base cards, they're like if you flip them both, they're the text is the opposite direction.
Yep.
But since the text on the Diamond Kings is vertical instead of horizontal, there's no way to tell the difference, I don't think.
Gotcha.
I don't think there's any print variation on that. But
hold on, my cat is scratching at the door.
All right.
It's gonna be nuts. Man, I live in an old farmhouse, and so you have to have cats as a mouser. And yeah, okay. All right, so you showed the DK. That's awesome. Where'd you get that?
I bought it on eBay, I think.
Okay.
It was one of those deals. It's a special card too because as I was working up to my 1000th Kirby, I sold a bunch of cards in like fire sales and things to raise money to buy the card that I'm going to show later that I had in Target. And I like raised so much money. One of the things I sold was like a PSA 10 Juan Soto rookie card.
Okay.
And I had enough to buy like 3 really good cards. So I bought that one. I bought the 85 Tiffany, and I bought the one that I'm going to show later.
Yeah, that's three bigger. Yeah, that's 3 bigger cards then. Yeah, that must have been a heck of a Soto card. I don't know the new stuff as well. Like because he's going to have like what 10,000 different cards. Soto, right? It's crazy. All right. So what's your number 2 for 87?
Okay, so this one I knew existed, but I didn't know. A great YouTuber, Caleb's Cards, TTM Autographs and more. He's a big TTM guy, but he always goes to thrift stores and buys and searches for stuff. And more than one occasion, he's found something cool for me. And this is the 1987 7-Eleven Sports Flicks. Now, I knew about this, that it existed, but I didn't realize it's like the size of a CD. And the funny thing is when he bought it, he sent me a picture and it was in a CD case, in like a CD jewel case. So I was just like, whoa, I didn't realize that they were that big. Cause I think there's another year that 7-Eleven did discs or coins and it's just kind of, smallish. But yeah, these are, I just think this is super cool.
That is really cool. If I had that, that would have been one of my 2 that I would pick. I don't have that. I think I've seen that. I've seen it, not in person. I've seen it somewhere online. Yeah, that's got to be decently rare. That thing's. Yeah, I've seen a lot of the little guys, right? The little ones.
Yep.
All right. These are. I think I messaged you up, dude. These are both 50-cent cards, if that. 87 is kind of bland. Now I love box bottoms, and so just here's the 87 Fleer.
All right.
Box bottoms, and then I actually just really like the image on this one. I think it's just a really good the opening day set.
Yeah,
I think they're a great looking card. I like all of the stuff that Donruss did from 86 and 87. So with that design, they had ones where it was highlights where it was blue. They did this, they did the black. So all of them have those dark colored or full colored borders. So there's always more prone to chipping and stuff like that. And that's what I picked for the 87s. Could have gone with the Tiffany's and stuff, but it's just like, they don't feel as that special to me.
So for 88, I picked an interesting card. So this is the 88 All-Star Tiffany.
Yep.
And it's kind of an ugly card. I mean, it honestly is a really ugly card. Kirby's face that he's making is kind of ugly. But I kind of like ugly cards. Like they're quirky and unique, and they tried something different.
Yep.
And like, I'm not a big fan of the color yellow on like cars or houses or clothing, but for some reason it seems like I like it on a card. I don't know why.
Yep.
But
I got a whole row of yellow cards I love. Yep. I agree with you.
And then I pulled this off. This is this is like one of those Jersey Fusion cards.
Yeah.
So it's a 88 Topps All-Star with that Jersey piece. Now, a lot of people don't like these, but I at least like that these guys are, they're clear about where this little Jersey piece comes from, way more than Topps is. So on the back of these, they have like a QR code. You can scan it, and they'll show you a picture of what they cut this out of. This is out of a 1990 batting practice jersey. But
that's cool. I don't have one Jersey Fusion card in my collection.
A breaker that I follow broke a case of these, and somebody else got it, and they're like, I don't really want that. Does anybody that would appreciate that? Mm-hmm. And he was like, yes, I do. Send it to them. So like I said, they're just more transparent. Like Topps, so they'll put game used jersey, and that's the only thing they put on it. Well, who used it?
Yep.
Who knows?
Yeah. No, that's good.
So my other 88 is a Score glossy.
Mm-hmm.
They're quite a bit more rare than a Tiffany or a Fleer glossy.
Yeah.
You'll find they're a lot more expensive. This is the 87 highlights. I have something that goes with this too. So this highlights when he got 10 hits in 2 days against the Brewers.
Yep.
He went 4 for 5 with 2 home runs, and the next day he went 6 for 6 with 2 home runs. And he also robbed Robin Yount of a grand slam.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know if you have any CSG cards, but you ain't going to be able to see it here, but they are crystal clear. Like, they are clear. Just beautiful actual slabs. A lot of people complain they didn't like the flips, so they actually have changed the flips. They don't look like this anymore.
Yeah.
But the cases are exactly the same size as a PSA, and they're so clear.
Yeah, I probably have, I'm guessing 2 or 3 cards total with that case. One, I know I have the Nolan Arenado rookie in that, and you're right, they are super clear. Yeah.
So one more item that we're going to go back to 1987. This is the first day cover, or the cachet, whatever you want to call it, that commemorates those 10 hits in 2 games, and it's autographed.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So you probably noticed that he had to get his 6th hit on that day. Do you know what had to happen right before he got up?
Oh, remind me.
Greg Gagne struck out swinging.
And
it's such a bad pitch that he made it to first.
Yeah, that's nice.
And that's what got him. That's what got him up. That's
nice hustle, Greg.
Yeah.
So that's my 87 or 88. It's my 88s.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So I had done I think it was my least watched video that I had was related to this. This is the 88 glossy. It doesn't have to be a glossy. But the 88 Fleer has a special place in my heart because growing up in Fairbanks, I'd go to the card shops. There's card shows every once in a while. And I had like every one of his regular issue cards up until like 1991. And I believe it was 91 when I was looking. I go, but I could not find this stupid card anywhere. Like I would go into this card shop or a card show where there'd be 50, 60 people. And back at that time in 91, this should be a findable card. Just diving. And it took me like 3 years before I finally got the stupid thing. And I was just like, come on. But yeah, so that one is just like a hunt for a really common card. This was before the eBay days. And then this one, I just love to look at it. It's an Action All-Stars. So I just like the way it looks.
Okay. Yeah, I have that one, I think, too. That is a nice looking one.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a 53 Bowman. So I really like the look of those. This is more of I don't even know who made those.
A lot of people call them like Broders.
but he was I think he was a specific guy who made cards, but yeah, that's what we called him. Anything where we're like, we don't know what this is.
Yeah, like an unlicensed kind of generic card is a lot
Yeah.
of times just generically called a broder.
Yep. That's what we always called him.
Okay, are we on 89s?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this last year, I couldn't go to the National, but Minnesota had a big, like the biggest card show that they've ever had up in the Twin Cities. And so I invited a couple other guys to come and stay at an Airbnb with me, and we went to the show a couple days. And one guy gave me this when I got there, and I'd already had probably 50 of these, but it's an 89 tops. You know, it's not. I like the 89 design, but it's not the best Kirby card because it's kind of like not really that great of a picture.
Yeah, it's
But
horrible.
he gave it to me, and I thought that was cool. And then the bonus is it has the gum stain on the back,
Nice.
and so that's why I picked this one.
Nice.
And then my other one, we've shown a couple box bottom cards here. So this one is the 89 Fleer. I just love that picture of Kirby. It's like a candid picture of him, you know, smiling, laughing. I think it's just a great card. I do have the panel as well.
Yeah, that's a great card. It is it's kind of like he has pictures. It's kind of like Ernie Banks. Ernie Banks would every picture he'd have of a card is a great card because he's got that big smile. And so there's a lot of his pictures where he's not playing. He's got that big smile. That's kind of why that 89's a letdown because he looks like he's like, you know, Moby Gus kind of there. But yeah, that 89 Fleer box is a great one. I got a couple different ones. Like I said, I really love vintage. And when I was a kid, I loved older cards. I didn't see them very often, and I didn't have any money, so they were all just like commons or whatever. But I just love the old looking cards, and so a lot of the magazine cutouts, I just thought they were really, really cool. So that one looks like a 59.
59.
Yeah, and then this also ties with that theme where these were not popular. Did not do well. I think they maybe ran it for 3 years, or maybe it was only 2. But I actually liked the big cards. I thought they were great. So it's kind of a throwback a little bit to the 56s, a little bit.
Yeah.
They went back to that whole concept of cartoons on the back, one line. I didn't necessarily like that, but I'm like, this is really the homage to the 50s cards. And it didn't do well. They're a little too big and everything else, but I dug them. And again, same thread is and I cheated here. I couldn't narrow it down. So I got this is a Tiffany of the 89 Bowman. And I think they did 6,000. So it's a limited run as well that they did of those. But they did not take off. And I thought it was pretty cool what they did there where they showed how they did against every single team.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really cool concept. That was enjoyable. So
yeah, I thought about pulling out my 89 Tiffany as well, but I went with those other two instead. Because I do like the oversized cards and I like the tops big, but for some reason the 89 Bowman always drove me crazy. You know, because I would try to put them in binders and stuff because they fit. They're the same width, but they're just taller.
Yeah, well, that's one thing where grading has changed, right? Like we have this now, so whether it's this or whether it's this, it doesn't matter. It's
they're the same size. Yeah.
Whereas, back when we were kids, you're like, God, these stupid things. The tops were always like messed up. Yeah, they're